Show. We are over in the Jackson location, Titletown. So if you are in the neighborhood or you have not decided what you want to do for lunch, we invite you to stop by and join us here at Wings, etc. And if you've never been to the Jackson location, or if you have, walk in the front door and turn to your right. We're back in the banquet room, and we've got plenty of seats. We've got a nice crowd, but we still have enough seating if you'd like to join us for lunch. And don't forget, when you come to Wings, etc., their daily half-pound lunch specials start at just $7.99. And did you know that there are over 70 items on Wings, etc.'s menu that are not wings? They have a brand new burger lineup. Make sure you check out that. They have wraps, salads, quesadillas, entree salads, and much, much more. And if you can't make it to Wings, you can order online. Online ordering is available. Just log on to the Wings, etc. Website. And if you would like it delivered, you can get your Wings, etc. delivered right to your front door through DoorDash. So just download the free DoorDash app, and you can have Wings, etc. right in your home. Or if you are coming, don't forget they've got daily lunch specials. And their lunch specials start at just $7.99, and their full menu. And don't forget the appetizer lineup. That includes their ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle chips. It's Wings, etc., home of the Coaches Show. Good food, great times. We're going to be talking Red Hawks football with SEMO head coach Tom Matukowicz. Mardrick Douglas is going to join us a little bit later on in the show, the college graduate, Mardrick Douglas. We'll talk to him about that as he is enjoying his Wings, etc. lunch. Let's welcome in Coach Tom Matukowicz. I saw you just place your Wings, etc. order. Are you a bone-in or bone-out guy?
No, I'm definitely a bone-in. The whole chicken wing, and it's not a chicken wing, like, we need to be honest with ourselves. Like, we could talk a whole hour on, that's odd to me. But that's why my wife doesn't like me talking, because I get on tangents.
I understand. Well, I'm a bone-in guy too, so I'm feeling you on that one. And are you a burger guy? Because they've got a brand new burger lineup, including a new mushroom Swiss burger.
Yeah. I think Joe's Wings and burgers are second. I'd say I'm still got him beat on both at 2705 Plymouth Drive. But if I am going to go out and I'm going to get wings and a burger, I'm definitely a big wings guy.
All right. The Red Hawks are getting set for the University of Missouri. That is going to be an 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday in Columbia. We'll talk more about the Tigers coming up. We're going to recap the game against the number one team in the nation, the Sam Houston Bearcats. And that took place on Saturday night down in Huntsville, Texas. How was the trip to Huntsville? And you guys ended up going to College Station and went inside the home of the Texas A&M Aggies Stadium.
Yeah, it was a great trip. Anytime we can try to organize some kind of student-athlete where they get to experience something they don't normally get to experience, we try to make that happen. It's hard, though. Everything was getting worked out. We ended up going to fly in and out of College Station, and so Brady – Barkey knew the AD, and we got it worked out to where we can walk through that morning. And it's a special place. I mean, I've been to a lot of big stadiums, and it's pretty hard to get me fired up about something. And that was a great trip for these guys. I know Mardrick felt the same way, and it was first-class hotel and just the charter. And I'll tell you what, Cape Airport just does a great job. Katrina Amos is the new director up there. Of course, Bruce is here, and he handpicked her. But we flew back in. I think we landed at 3:30 or something like that. She's out. She's the manager. She's out there at 3:30 in the morning with a little glow stick, like bringing people in. And I was just like, wow, that just says a lot about her manager style. No wonder that's such a great asset to our community in this area, and they do a great job.
Loy would have never been out there with a glow stick at 3:30 in the morning.
No, but we appreciate it. It was a great trip. One of the main concerns I had about opening weekend, I didn't feel like we were ready to play for whatever reason, distraction. And I obviously didn't do a good job, and so that was a huge concern of ours. We talked about it all week. And it's probably going to be harder to get ready for this game, right? This is a great opponent. You see, and you got flights, you got all this stuff. We have to drive an hour the day of the game, 6 o'clock kickoff. But the best thing about the game was how we started, how our players really wanted to play that game, and they weren't intimidated. They came out, and I thought even from coaches, we called we called a fake and a surprise onside kick. We went down there to try to win the game, and loved how we started the game.
So the final score, Sam Houston wins at 52-14, but we go back to the first half. They score on their opening possession. They put together an impressive drive, 9 plays, 81 yards, and Rahman Jefferson, their all-conference tailback, was able to punch it in from 1 yard out. But then you respond on your first possession, and Aaron Alston made a terrific catch on the sideline, a 43-yard touchdown from C.J. Ogbonna, who, Coach, I thought looked much more comfortable here against Sam Houston than he did in the SIU game, and the offensive line gave him more time than against the Salukis.
Yep. That was a get-better plan on offense. One of the first things that they really focused on this week was throwing the ball. Now, obviously, the running back's got to protect, the O-line got to protect, but CJ's got to get the ball out. The wideout's got to be great timing, all the stuff that it takes to throw the football. And I thought, man, that got a lot better from game 1 to game 2 against legitimate talent. They're probably even better than SIU defensively, certainly up front. And so to be able to make that kind of stride gets you excited about where this could end up.
They had multiple All-Americans on that defense, including their 3 defensive linemen were all All-Americans. When have you ever seen an entire D-line and they were all All-Americans?
Yeah, no, they were really, really good. I tell you, the other thing that I was really proud is just our effort on our offensive line. I thought SIU outworked us a little bit, and that's a hard pill to swallow because that's coaching. And, I thought our O-line really responded and played hard, certainly through 3 quarters. And we got to learn how to finish a game. But super proud of how, that first half offensively.
And you were without 2 offensive starters, including – if you're going to protect your quarterback, you'd like to have your left tackle. You did not have your starting left tackle in this game.
Yep, got hurt. And we have 4 starters out from SIU. Of course, that's not good. But none of them are season-ending. So hopefully, by OVC or the first couple of games OVC, we'll get those guys back. And hopefully we can come out of Mizzou not banged up.
Now, we'll talk with Omardrick Douglas on this show. But last week, we had graduate wide receiver Zack Smith on the show. He was in a walking boot on the show last week, was getting ready to take an MRI and did not play in the football game. So you were without your number 1 receiver. Statistically, he was your top guy. Not only that, kick returner and punt returner. So what was the impact of Zack Smith, and when do you think potentially we could see Zack back on the field?
Certainly not this week. So he'll be out for Mizzou, and we'll just see how it goes. 2 to 3 weeks. But, I'm not a surgeon. I don't do the guessing game. So he's out this week.
So no break in the foot. I know that was a concern.
Yeah, okay. No break. And then Phil Wilder, the left tackle that's out, I think he'll be back for this week.
All right. You were also without Brandon Mincy in the football game, so that depleted your linebacking core. And then your number 1 defensive back, Shabari Davis, left at the end of the first quarter in the SIU game. Shabari was not there. Not only is he the leader in the defensive backfield, he's also the punt returner for the team. So you were down both of your punt returners in this football game.
Yeah, exactly. And so 2 things with that. It was great to see Zion Custis. He caught some really difficult balls at punt returner there, and that's hard to do. Even though he's a great athlete, got great ball skills, it's still tough. And I thought he did a great job, so that allowed us to build more depth at a punt returner. And then, with Brandon being out, he's more than just a good player. He's like O'Mardrick. Like he makes others around them better. From his communication, his confidence, alignment type stuff, just pre-snap talking to his buddy and stuff. So, but it did give a great opportunity. Like Norman, got more reps in there because of that and did really, really well. And so, again, going to provide great depth going into the OVC.
So it's a 7-7 football game. They end up going on a 7-play, 79-yard drive. It's ironic because you had just put together a 7-play, 79-yard drive of your own. And their quarterback, Eric Schmidt, who was the conference player of the year in the Southland Conference, they're no longer in the Southland, threw a 6-yard touchdown pass to Cody Crest, who was their leading guy in the Northern Arizona game. So they go up 14-7, and then you make a play on defense. Stephen Lewis gets a hand on a pass from Schmidt inside the 10-yard line, deflects it up into the air. Keandre Booker, outside linebacker, grabs it, returns it to the 2-yard line. So the first big play of the game, turning point play of the game, turned in by 2 of your defensive players.
No, it was just a tremendous play. We talk a lot about getting your hands up. I mean, we do it. Every day, all day, talk about it, and it matters. And so that's just proof. And it was a great return by Keandre. So he actually broke a couple tackles. They tried to strip the ball out of him. He had good ball security and just huge momentum too, And then the offense goes in and punches it in, and now all of a sudden, look out, it's a tie ball game. And so that was huge momentum-wise, along with just, some great players making plays.
So with Booker, who is a linebacker, not used to carrying the football, and you could see these Sam Houston guys were punching at the football, including big linemen. I saw number 52, man, he's a hoss, and he was trying to bust it loose.
I thought it was coming out. I had all of a sudden, I had reminisce of the UT Martin member, and Pirtle got a pick, and then they turned it over because he came and they did a really good strip attempt. Like it, if he didn't roll it forward, it was going to come out. So, very, very glad that happened and didn't turn it back into a negative situation. And so, got to create turnovers. We've been 2 in SIU and 2 at this game versus 2 really good teams. So if we can keep that going, and then obviously we got to try not to turn it over. But you love the where we're at that way.
So you get the ball at the 2-yard line. You've got the number 1 running back in the country in terms of scoring touchdowns. Geno Hess led the nation last year in rushing touchdowns. So you give it to Geno Hess, and he is stopped at the line of scrimmage. Then you throw a fade pattern in the left corner of the end zone, but Sam Houston is offsides. The only penalty they called on the home team in the first half of that football game, by the way. So then you're at the 1-yard line. You give it to Hess. He is stood up at the goal line, spins to his left, and muscles his way across the goal line. So he got stood up by a couple of All-Americans and still worked his way into the end zone. When he first got stood up, I thought, he got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. I thought that was a great run by Geno Hess.
Yeah, and then I'm showing that play to the team today at 4, but you should see the other 10. C.J. Obanga, he comes in and hits it. Our center does it. That was just a tremendous play from just a great effort, and of course Geno too. But I love the way that play went down. All 11 were just really fighting to get in the end zone.
So it's a 14-14 game at that point. Your sideline is jacked. You're on the road. You go on the road in a game like this, if you can just withstand that early assault, because the fans were in a lather because it's the first home game since they won the national championship. They are hyped up because it's their first home game. And, if you can withstand that early adrenaline rush, that stuff burns off as a football game goes along. And then you got to just get down in the trenches and see who's better. And all of a sudden it's 14-14. Your next drive, you're lining up for a 47-yard field goal by Kenny Doak with a chance to take the lead in the game. Now, they blocked the field goal. What were your thoughts on the sideline? What was your message at 14-14 as you getting a possession to take the lead in the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously that's the kind of stuff you can't do. There's no margins. You got to make makeable field goals, and then it starts with protection. So we got to get that cleaned up this week in practice. The issue, I think that play and then right before half, the pick six that they had, I think those two plays kind of took our we didn't respond well. We have a saying here about responding. We teach a lot about how to respond, and bad things are going to happen in a game. I mean, you should already accept that that's going to happen, but it's about how you responded, and we didn't quite we didn't quite play at that same energy, that same belief that we had after those two plays. And so that's the message is, we just got to respond better this week when bad things are going to happen. They happen to good teams. I mean, bad things happen in a game of football. Bad things happen in life. And we just got to respond better, and we got in our feelings a little bit. And then I think it affected our play.
So their next possession, they get a 70-yard run from Rahman Jefferson. And in watching it live and then getting a chance to look at the replay, it looked like you had three players with hands on Jefferson, and somehow he was able to break free right there. It looked like you were going to get him down.
Yeah. So our number one key to getting better this week defensively is tackling. We had 12 missed tackles, and obviously the opponent has something to do with that. They're really good players. That back was really good, ran through tackles. But that's going to be our main focus this week is you got to make offenses earn it. Like, you can't rip off a 70-yard run when you hit him 5 times. And we are dealing with some depth issues in the secondary and some young players and all that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at game 3 and game 4, you're no longer young. Like, you've had you've been coached and practiced and played enough that we got to just tackle better.
And as far as Rahman Jefferson goes, this is an elite running back, not only with the speed, and we saw the speed, but this is a guy that's 225 pounds. He is a big, fast running back. Played at Maine, and Maine beat Jacksonville State in the playoffs. He had 183 yards rushing against the Gamecocks when he was at Maine. Ran for over 100 yards in the national championship game. He may be as good a running back as you see this year.
Yeah, that great receiver came from Harvard or
Howard.
Was it Howard? I thought he was an Ivy League, number 9. I think he came from.
Maybe that was a different one.
But I need to find out.
They do have a Howard transfer, though.
He was number 12. The other kid, they're all transfers. So I'm wondering,
right.
I need to get their NIL money. Whatever they're paying all these guys to transfer, we need to see if we can get that done. But they had some really, really talented skill. They were as good or better than SIU. So, which is good, Practice against that kind of talent will ultimately make you better if you have the right effort and attitude.
Their other big play, you had a 3rd and 1 where the quarterback gave a little play-action fake and then took off on what looked like a design quarterback draw. Kind of bounced off some guys at the line of scrimmage, spun to his right, and went 77 yards for a touchdown. That was kind of a demoralizing play in the football game. But he's faster than I thought he was. I think he had a 64-yard run last year for a touchdown, but he went 77 on this play.
Yeah, and again, missed tackles. So 150 yards of their rushing was those two plays. Yeah. Where you had guys there. So, again, you can't get caught up in stats and points and all these type of things. It's about all these little things fundamentally that will eventually add up to good football, and that's what we got to continue to we moved the needle from week 1 to week 2, but really to improve from week 1 to week 2 is actually pretty easy. You really suck if you don't get better from week 1 to week 2. The challenge, though, is can we still get better from week 2 to week 3, even though the talent's going to be harder. But they don't have anything to do with us and our technique and our effort and all the things that we talk about around here. So we got to just show up hungry to try and get better, regardless of the results that we're getting.
One thing I wanted to mention, because it can get lost in the shuffle in a game like this, was your punter, Coach, Zack Haynes. Now, just looking at his numbers, he averaged 39 yards per punt. Well, he was among the nation's leaders last year, right at 42. So you say 39 yards per punt. Well, here's the deal. He drops 4 inside the 20. He had a 52-yard punt, and all but one time, their all-conference punt returner, Jaquez Ezzard, who's an elite punt returner, ran one back in the national championship game, 80 yards, had to call fair catches all night because of Zack Haynes, and he was visibly getting frustrated walking to the sidelines, having to call fair catches all night. You took away one of their weapons just by the performance of your punter.
Yeah, he had a good day, and our gunners did a great job of getting down the field to force those fair catches. So that was great to see.
You know, I know sometimes fans may not focus in on something like that, but I know as the coach, you were seeing that their guy he couldn't get a return off in the entire game.
No, that was huge. I thought since you bring it up, I thought our special teams, had a really good outing. We faked a punt that was successful, and then we surprised onside, which was successful. We got to get our return game going. So our punt return and kick return's not as good as it needs to be. And we've done enough kickoff returns to last a lifetime since we get up so many points. So we should be better at that. That's going to be our focus this week fundamentally. We're off there a little bit, so we just got to make sure we're playing the right guys, and those guys are striving to use the technique that we teach. But very happy special teams-wise in our first two games.
And anybody that didn't see the onside kick, you cannot run an onside kick any better than you did. You had guys ahead of the ball. They were not – they didn't even get to the football. How often do you work on that? Because have you ever had a more perfect onside kick than that?
Well, I don't know if you remember Montana State.
Okay.
So same kid, he's good at it.
Yep.
So that is it's still about players. He could just kick that ball that is going, but is going slow because we got blockers out in front of him. Then by the time it hits 10 yards, all the blocking in front of it's happened, and he just got to execute getting on the ball. But, and it's just different for them, and there's heat on them like has never been before.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like I could turn the ball over. And so, Grouse did a great job. He's cool and collected, focused on his fundamentals, and did a great job executing.
And some may not know, Adam Krause is your kickoff specialist. He's your holder on field goals and PATs. He's a guy that walked onto this program, and you thought he was valuable enough to give that young man a scholarship.
Yeah.
The holder and the kickoff guy.
Yeah, for sure, and that's a great point that you make. How big was that play in the game? So it takes everybody, and it's so fun to see guys be successful. Even our punter threw the ball. On the fake punt.
It was a perfect throw by Zack.
But that's still
Haynes.
stressful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, let me just kick it. So all of a sudden you're like, then you hook it out of bounds or something. So I was proud of our specialist.
It's like anybody who's ever in a golf tournament stepped up on the first tee and everybody's looking. It's that same anxiety, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you got a little bit of time to think about it and get in your head a little bit instead of thinking about your technique. You think about, well, what happens if I miss it, instead of thinking about, hey, follow through or whatever your teaching is.
And give the guy that caught it, Will Weideman, your tight end, a little credit because he had a lot of yards after the catch.
Yeah, did a great job, and people sign off in front of him, and we got to find ways to steal possession. So that was two series we wouldn't have had, right? And
right.
So that's huge in tight ball games.
Okay, so for the last several years, it has been Shabari Davis, Zach Smith, Al Young. Now, those are about the only guys who have returned punts for your football program. All of a sudden, here's Zion Custis, who's an experienced kickoff returner. Kickoffs and punt return are two totally different animals, especially when you're trying to field the ball. There's a lot less pressure fielding a kickoff because the gunners are far downfield. And if you would fumble a kickoff, you have time to recover, just like happened in the game. The ball popped out of the end zone, and you had to pick it up and return it. How about Zion Custis? How many reps has he actually taken at punt return, and how tough is it to make that transition when who knows when the last time Zion Custis returned a punt?
No, he did a great job all week long. We got extra reps, so before practice and after practice twice that week. Coach Reed, Isaac Reed, our running back coach, is our specialist coach, also returned specialist, and so they worked hard, and he executed. He had a couple tough punts too. Again, that's an opportunity for him to get better at. Now, who knows, because if you get him rolling, he's also, pretty tough to tackle. So, but obviously we got to catch it first.
All right. How did you think the run game did? It looked like you settled in a little, once the initial, adrenaline kind of burned off. It looked like you're able to do a little bit. Nobody has run the ball on them. They had gone 20 consecutive games without giving up more than 100 yards rushing. And now the guy from South Dakota State in the national championship game ran for 183. That's a good South Dakota State team. But this is one of the best run defenses in the country. The numbers bear that out.
Yeah. No, I thought for the talent we were going against, guys did a good job, and people were going hard. And I think they had a good plan against counter. We probably could have went to some inside zone a little sooner and some stuff like that. But, all in all, like I told the guys, there's great energy and enthusiasm from progress. Don't think of this on it's a zero-sum game. We either lost it or won it. It's not. It's all these other things, and there's so much progress in here that we should feel good about where we could end up. We're still way off from being a good football team, but we're at least moving towards one, and that's where progress comes from.
C.J. Agbana, your quarterback, 13 of 27, 168 yards, the 43-yard touchdown pass to Aaron Olsen. He had one interception, and that was a ball that he threw that was off the hands and tipped up into the air. When you see an interception like that as your first thought, that's not the quarterback's fault.
Yeah, completely. I mean, turnovers happen, and it was a perfect storm because it got tipped high enough for the corner to all of a sudden catch it, not lose stride. I mean, that's why you got to play hard. That's why you have, they're going to make plays too. But his decision making was good. Had some drops that, we didn't help him. He could still play better. And again, I think he feels like there's good progress. He got hit pretty hard, a lot of low hits too, and so he is definitely a durable guy, and so that's great to see.
And he looked very – now when he came, when we heard that you had signed him, and everybody looks at his numbers and you know that he is a multi-purpose quarterback, he is able to do some things with his legs, looked pretty good when he tucked the ball and decided to run, and I don't know if all – I know there were some designed runs in there, but I know at least one time it looked like it was a designed pass play, and he ended up,
getting a first down in his third and like 8 or 9. So that was great to see, and that's what you need to be able to do. I mean, certainly this week you're going to have to create your first look might be covered, probably will be covered. So what are we going to do after that? And so that was good to see.
Just counting in my head, I saw about 6 or 7 balls that he threw to receivers that very easily could have been caught. So when you see 13 for 27, that can be a little misleading. He could have been 19 for 27 in that game.
Yeah, no doubt. I think our receivers played well, but they could play better. And that's what's got to happen. They're all vets. CJ's a newbie. He's a rookie. So, if you can get your hand on it, we need to catch it.
We saw 3 quarterbacks in the football game. Christian Perez was in there for a series, and then we saw Jalen Williams. Tell us a little bit about Jalen Williams.
He's a kid out of Atlanta, Georgia, and super talented, and wanted to get him an opportunity. Christian ended up getting hurt, and so gave him a chance to play, and I think he did okay. He can't figure out where to park. So I'm mad at him. So, he's got to continue to mature before I give him the keys to the program. Like, he at least park where the hell he's supposed to park.
Zion Custis led you in receptions, Coach, with 4 catches. You haven't thrown to your backs a whole lot. Not that I don't know if that's by design or not, but you haven't thrown to your backs a whole lot. Is that something we may see a little bit more this year?
Yeah, no, it's a part of who we are, and we want to try to do that. But it also depends. We needed help and protection.
Sure.
And so there's a lot to every week. But we just felt like we needed him in protection a little more.
All right. Omardrick Douglas going to join us after the timeout. Tell us a little bit about recruiting Omardrick and a good Omardrick Douglas story.
A good Omardrick Douglas story. I don't know. I could tell you he was under-recruited. He looks like, out of high school, he looked like a basketball player. He has a brother that played for VMI, and then I forget where he went, but VCU, sorry. But, super athletic family. Underdeveloped when he got here, and so he needed the weight room and all those type of things. But he's just, for me, my story is it's a good reminder why I do what I do. Every time I get frustrated and I start punching holes in the wall, I have to remember that I get a front row seat to see Omardrick as a freshman to Omardrick as a grad student, and who he is a man, as a father and as a teammate, as good as any, and you feel like maybe you had a small part of that, and it's just fun. And he's why I have to remind myself, because right now I kept wondering why the hell I decided to be a football coach the last couple of weeks, but he's why, and so it's just so fun getting to see him and his maturity.
And even though we see the record is 0-2 and you're getting ready, you played the 7th-ranked team in the country. For those who don't know, SIU was up at halftime at Kansas State. They barely lost that game. SIU nearly knocked off Kansas State, who beat Stanford the week before, and all Stanford did was boat race USC, who was, I think, the number 17 team in the nation. I just absolutely manhandled USC. So SIU really showed that, hey, they are a team to be reckoned with in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. So as far as conference play, that's what your season is going to be judged on. Sure. By you, by your players, and by everybody else. Yeah, and you're still 2 weeks away from a conference game.
And we always say that, and I think I've said it, but I got to make sure I remember to believe it. Because, we work really, really hard. And to go out and not be successful is not a lot of fun. So you just got to make sure you got the mission on point, and you remind yourself that, we may lose the battle, but let's not lose the war. Like, the mission here is about the OVC play, getting ready to play, getting good at the things we need to get good at by the time that hits. And, we just got to keep that focus.
All right, we're going to talk more with Coach Tuke about their opponent, Missouri, coming up on Saturday in just a few minutes. But when we come back from this timeout, we'll talk with Omardrick Douglas. Have you ever heard of anyone with the first name Omardrick? There's a big story behind that. We'll talk to Omardrick about it when we come back. Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Jackson on SEMO ESPN.
Sports Bar, Wings.
In Jackson, we'll be over at the Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau for next week. And we want to remind you that they have a lot more than wings at Wings Etc., although they do have their daily specials, food and drink specials. But they have a full menu featuring their new and overhauled burger menu. They have wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs, and much, much more. All of the dining rooms are filled with the HD TVs, which means they have the best sports programming. They have the NFL ticket. And if you want to watch Monday Night Football tonight, should be a good one. The Baltimore Ravens and former MVP Lamar Jackson taking on John Gruden's Las Vegas Raiders. And it will be at Allegiant Stadium, the brand new stadium in Vegas, and there were no fans allowed in Allegiant Stadium last year. So it'll be the first game with fans in Vegas, and it is a pretty nice stadium. So if you want to watch Monday Night Football, you can watch it right here. Cardinal baseball tonight. They have a big series in the Big Apple against the New York Mets. You can watch the Redbirds right here at Wings Etc. And if you're coming for lunch, make sure you check out their daily half-pound lunch specials. They start at just $7.99. Let's talk with graduate linebacker Omardrick Douglas. How are you, Omardrick?
I'm doing good. I'm always blessed to be on here with you.
So tell us about your your graduate degree. How many people in your immediate family have graduated from college?
Me and my brother are the first ones to have graduated from college.
How much pride does that give you and your brother?
It's really just a true blessing that we're the first ones in our families to change and set the tempo for the next generations following us.
And you're working on your master's right now. Now it's higher education administration. Tell us about that.
Yes. Once I'm done with football, I plan on trying to be an athletic director.
Now, you were working on some things in your undergraduate degree that involve video and filmmaking, right?
Yes. I got my undergrad in mass communications, TV, and film. And while I've been playing, I got an opportunity to work at Creative Edge here in Cape Girardeau, and I was able to use my talents and showcase what I could do working with them.
I've worked with Creative Edge, so I know the people over there. How much have you picked the brain of athletics director Brady Barkey, knowing that that's the field you would like to pursue? He'd be a pretty good resource, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I've actually sat down and talked with Brady a few times. I actually consider him to be one of my mentors, and I've developed a great relationship with him and his family. So just getting to talk to him about certain things, and this past weekend when we were on the trip, I got to talk to him a little bit. He was helping out. I was like, that's the great servant leadership that I was learning about in class. And he was like, yeah, one day when you get big, remember where you came from.
When you grow up.
I grow up.
All right, so as you guys get ready for the University of Missouri, tell us about the basketball background, because I know you were a really good basketball player in high school. Your brother played collegiately. Is he still playing at VCU?
No, he's in his collegiate year this past spring.
Okay. Is he playing any pro ball?
No, he's actually an academic administration assistant right now at VCU.
All right. So he's involved in the athletics department.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrific. Tell us about the first time you ever beat him in one-on-one, or have you never beaten him in one-on-one?
I think when we were younger, I might have got him once, but overall, he usually just beat me.
Wow.
He's 6'10", so there's a huge height difference
there. 6'10". That is, well, I mean, you better be hitting your outside jump shot if you're trying to stop somebody that's 6'10".
See, I was a post player, and I got rebounds and took charges. So he can block shots because he's so tall. So whenever I was on the court, I would take charges and steal possessions that way.
Well, you know, sometimes in pickup basketball, people do not want to hear the word charge. That is not something that they want to hear in pickup ball. Did you called charges when you guys played one-on-one?
Yeah, my senior year, I think I took 46 charges.
Wow.
I got like an award for it.
What's the name of the award?
The Lee Raker award.
The Lee Raker. All
he
right.
was a player in our program that took a lot of charges.
So you went to Ballard High School in Louisville. Is Ballard known more for basketball or football?
We're known more for basketball, but our football program is starting to be on the uprise here recently. We just got a new stadium renovated, so I like the way that the program has been going since I haven't been there.
So Zack Smith is a Louisville native as well. Did you guys meet in football in high school? Had you known of Zach Smith or Zach Hall, the former National Defensive Player of the Year, before you came here?
Yeah. So me, Z, and Zach were all friends since we were like 7 years old.
Okay.
And we all went to the same middle school, and then we all went to separate high schools. But we've all been friends and close since we were 7.
That's pretty neat that you knew somebody already when you came here, because that's a big transition to leave home and come to college, and to know somebody that you've known all your life. That had to make it a little easier.
Yeah, we were all roommates as well, so we've helped each other out. We've learned and grew together. Those are my closest friends, so I love those guys.
All right. I said there's a story behind your name, Omardrick. Have you ever just Googled the name Omardrick and see what comes up?
Yeah, I'm the only thing that pops up.
You're the only thing that pops up. But there's a reason why. Tell us how you got the name Omardrick.
So my mom, she's not like she didn't want me to have like a typical name. So up until like maybe about a couple weeks before I was born, she didn't really have a name picked out. And then she just decided that she was going to name me after my uncle, whose name is Omar, and my grandfather. They're both Omar Porter Jr. and Sr. And my other uncle, his name is Kendrick Porter. So my mom combined Omar and Kendrick together, so that way that I have all of their names.
How many times do you think you have told that story?
Not many people ask, but when they do, I have told it a few times.
All right. That had to feel pretty cool for your relatives who knew that you were kind of named after them.
Yeah, I have a tattoo on my arm that's dedicated to my grandfather when he passed away. So he was one of the people I talked to a lot before when he passed away.
And you've got a tattoo on your leg, and I was asking you about that before you sat down.
Oh, yeah, it says the marathon continues, because we're all not running races. We're running a marathon. We're all going to achieve and do things whenever they're supposed to happen and when we let them happen.
So tell us about the atmosphere on Saturday at Sam Houston State. First time that any SEMO team had ever played the defending and reigning national championship club.
It's a very hostile environment. From the first time that we ran onto the field, I kind of knew that we were walking into a pit, and that's what it felt like. When we really didn't see any red in the stands. It was all orange. They were really loud. But after the first 15 to 20 minutes of settling into the game, it really didn't matter at that point. So just the initial.
What were your thoughts with the way you guys kind of punched him in the mouth in that first half?
I liked the way that we came out. We weren't scared of them. Well, we felt that we were confident in our game plan and just confident in each other.
And as far as your offense, that's a good offensive football team. They had the Southland Conference Player of the Year, their quarterback, Eric Schmidt. And then you got to see Rahman Jefferson, who is an all-conference running back. They have an All-American wide receiver, and I don't know that he even caught a pass in the football game. Let me double-check to see if he caught a pass. He did not catch a pass in the football game. What were your thoughts about just the speed that they had on the offensive side of the ball?
I've been in college football for a while now, and just playing against some top talent like that, you don't get to see certain athletes like that all the time. And I would say that they were some of the best athletes that I've played against myself. Personally.
Yeah, they were littered with All-Americans. You had a couple of pass breakups in the football game. SEMO was credited with 3 pass breakups. You had 2 of them. Tell us about it.
That just comes with our fundamentals. Like Coach Took said, we're always working on getting our hands up. And I know that I have a very long frame, so me just being able to use my body and just read passes off the quarterback and knock it down gives the defense a chance to get picks, or we end drives just off getting the ball down.
So as you get ready to head to the University of Missouri, obviously that's the flagship station or the flagship school in this particular state. Your thoughts on getting an opportunity to get on the field with a team from the Southeastern Conference, which is unquestionably the best conference in college football?
Well, it's going to be a great opportunity that we get to go out there and showcase our talents against an FBS opponent. I say it's going to be a good game. We just got to get back to work this week and focus on what we need to do to get better. To be able to earn that opportunity.
So you've got a freshman who's playing linebacker with you, Bryce Norman. This is his hometown. We do the show over here every third week during the football season. What can you tell us about Bryce Norman? Because a lot of people are interested in kind of following his career. He had 8 tackles in the game against Sam Houston.
Bryce is a really great teammate. He comes to work every day, does what he's supposed to. He's a really hard worker, and he's been eager to learn since he got on campus. We should expect big things from Norm here in the next couple of years.
All right. Before we bring Coach Tuke back up here, we got to ask you about the number. Your number when you came here was 52. Then you switched to number 4. And you've been trying as hard as you can to switch to number 0, and no SEMO player in the history of the program has ever worn number 0. But for some reason, you just can't switch to number 0. Why not?
The jersey just hasn't came in yet, so whenever the jersey comes in, we'll get to see 0 on the field, and until then, you're going to keep seeing 4.
Now, did you know before you switched that no one had ever worn 0?
Yeah, I did know that. That's why I kind of wanted to be the first.
Well, how about do they refer to you as O?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and then you're wearing jersey number O. How much did that have to do with it?
Just a little bit, but I really wanted to just be the first.
So you can, they've been playing football at SEMO for a long time, so we'll keep our eye out for number 0, and hopefully it gets shipped here by conference play at least, so you can don it at Houck Stadium. Thanks so much for the time. Congratulations on graduating. Good luck on your Masters, and we'll see you in Columbia on Saturday.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, there's Omardrick Douglas. We'll take a timeout. We'll talk about the Mizzou Tigers with Coach Tom Matukowicz when we come back. Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Jackson on SEMO ESPN. Etc. every Monday at 12 noon. We're in the Jackson location today, and we will be back over in Cape Girardeau for the next 2 weeks, and you can join us. We hope you will join us for lunch, 12 noon on Monday at Wings Etc. in Cape, right in front of West Park Mall. We're going to talk now with Coach Tuke about the Missouri football team, who is coming off a tough conference loss at the University of Kentucky. Have you had a chance to watch much of that game yet, Coach? I know you will before kickoff. They dropped a 35-28 decision to Kentucky, a revamped Kentucky team. It's a Kentucky offense that hired an offensive coordinator who was an assistant coach for Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams. So they've installed a whole new offense. So Mizzou went up against a pretty good offensive football team on Saturday. Have you had a chance to see that, or your thoughts on Mizzou?
Well, I haven't. I think just trying to keep the focus on us and what we need to do to get better. All of the assistants have started on, Mizzou, and they seem to be better on offense than defense. Statistically, that's what it says. I think at the end of the day, similar to the teams we've played in the past, that Mizzou's the same type. Got some really good players and coached well, and be a huge challenge.
Mizzou has given up more offensive yards, their defense has, than any other school in the nation in a Power 5 conference. So it's been a struggle defensively. Offensively, Coach, they've got Connor Bazelak at quarterback. He was the co-SEC Freshman of the Year last year. Anytime you win an award in the Southeastern Conference, you're getting the job done. So you're going to face a pretty good quarterback on Saturday.
Yeah, and they've been able to run a little bit too, so definitely have a challenge ahead of us. And again, though, we're just going to try to get good at what we're trying to get good at, and hopefully we could get it to a fourth quarter game, and then you never know what happens then.
Their starting tailback, Tyler Beatty, is among the nation's leaders in yards from scrimmage. So they've got a really good running back who not only runs the football, but he also caught 10 balls in that Kentucky game. How much tougher is it to defend a running back who is really heavily used in the passing game?
Yeah, no, it's a challenge because you're sitting there trying to play in on the run, and all of a sudden he's out in the flat or space, and now you got to make plays in those. And that was one of our main issues Saturdays. We couldn't tackle in the open field, and so we're going to get after it this week. So we're going to do live tackling, stand by to get you some, because you're about to. You better get your 12-piece wings, not 10-piece, because when you see me on practice, you better get ready.
So is that something that you only do if you have to, live tackling during the season?
Yeah.
Is that something you normally don't do?
Some teams need it, some teams don't. It just goes into there's just some things you drill and all that, but you have to just go execute a live tackle. Like even tackling a pad or something like that, it doesn't simulate what it feels like to simulate a live tackle. Football's cumulative, so like Lawrence Johnson doesn't need to tackle live because he's done it year after year. But when we're new, we need to manufacture some live tackles, some live reps for some of these younger defensive players.
Is one of the reasons coaches don't do that on a regular basis they're afraid of potential injury?
Oh, yeah, and it's real, yeah. I mean, I do believe you only have so many hits, and so you got to try to limit that. And we try to do a good job of all the other fundamentals besides the contact piece of it. But, it's obvious that we got to get better at it, and you don't get better at it talking about it. You get better at it by doing it. But getting feedback, doing it again, getting feedback, doing it again.
With the live tackling drill, the quarterbacks are off limits.
Yeah. The backup, but CJ is.
So as far as getting ready for Missouri, this is an opportunity to play in an SEC stadium. I don't know. Have we played there since they did the new end zone project?
I believe they did.
Okay.
Every time they've done something new.
Right.
So they've really put a lot of work into it. So we're excited about the opportunity, excited to play in that kind of stadium and to go test ourselves, coaching and playing. So we'll be ready to play.
Anyone who missed the last week's game with an injury, do you anticipate getting anybody back, or about the same roster as you had last Saturday?
About the same. No one will be back yet.
All right. It's going to be an 11 a.m. kickoff, and I know for one, I'm sure there'll be some fans. I know I'm not excited about 11 a.m. There are a lot of scrambling just to get to the stadium and the press box and all that good stuff. It doesn't matter what I think. But as far as an 11 a.m. kickoff, I know you said in your post-game interview when we spoke, you love it.
Yeah, and I'm the only one. But, yeah, I go to bed at 9 and get up at 5. But everybody else is different. Our players, will have to have pregame meal at 6. So that's difficult. So we got to be on that food wise. We need a big meal Friday night because we know they're not going to eat a lot in the morning, but this game will last till 3. So we got to make sure they're hydrated. I'm excited. The weather's not going to be what it is. Normally it is terrible there. There's no wind. You're really in that bowl there, and so it's only going to be a high of 90, I believe. And so that at least it won't be scorching like it was the last couple of years we played up there.
You know how there's always that one guy who is one-up-you guy? He always, no matter what story you say, he can one-up the story. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to be one-up-you guy there. You get up at 5. My alarm goes off at 3:25 a.m. every day. I got morning radio, so I got you.
Good. Well, you get the gold star for today.
All right, 11 a.m. kickoff. Make sure, don't forget, it is not an evening game. The Red Hawks and the Tigers, Coach, we'll see you in Columbia on Saturday. Thanks so much for your time. And thanks to Amardrick Douglas, who joined us a little bit earlier. 11 a.m., it'll be on our sister station, the home of the Red Hawks, Real Rock 99.3 FM, online at realrock993.com, or you can listen on your smartphone. Just download our Real Rock 99.3 app. It is free at your app store. That's going to do it. We'll get you back into programming here on ESPN Radio. Thanks to Coach Tuke, Amardrick Douglas, and thanks for joining us. We'll be back in the Cape location next week. So long, everybody, from Wings Etc.